Linda, many Somalis, many Africans see racism in what happened to Omar Abdulkadir.
Football is supposed to unite the world, but what are fans supposed to think right now?
Well, you get home from work and you switch on the BBC News, and what do you see? A referee from Somalia has been denied entry into the United States. In fact, there's been quite a lot of people that have had problems getting the necessary visas to get into the United States. And what does that say about the regime? Because that's what it is now, really, isn't it? The regime in the United States and its prejudices and its paranoia that has developed under the Trump administration. When I first saw this on the news, it reminded me of something from history, wasn't it? Jesse Owens in the 1936 Berlin Olympics. He won several golds, but when he won his first gold, a certain leader of that country at the time stood up and walked out because it didn't, he as a black athlete didn't fit the racial profiling, the propaganda of the regime as to the nature of human beings and what they should be like and what they should look like. And, I'm not making any direct parallels between that period in history in Germany and the United States today. But it's certainly not the open liberal democracy and kind of leader of the free world it once was.
Change.org petition has started for Somali Omar Artan, the referee, one of the best African referees in the world, that has been denied access to America to partake in FIFA World Cup 2026. Please sign it. It's in my bio. Those that are journalists, keep talking about it. If you're an influencer, celebrity, big up Ian Wright. Ian Wright has already spoken up about this. Keep talking about it. Keep putting pressure. And for all of us, one thing I would encourage for you to do is flood FIFA social media platforms on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. Justice for Omar Artan. Justice for Omar Artan. Keep the pressure going. I don't know if this is going to work, but it's an absolute disgrace. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know if I'm even that excited about the World Cup now. As a football fan, as a Somali, I was so excited. Obviously, I'm back in England, but I just don't know anymore. It just feels so crap. This is the World Cup. It's supposed to bring people together. Look what's happening. They should not have hosted this. What is going on?
Terrible. This is Omar Artan. He is the winner of the 2025 Confederation of African Football Referee of the Year Award. He was set to serve as an official at the FIFA World Cup, yet when he arrived in Miami, the United States said nah. Where's he from? Think about a country that is consistently a target of journalists Nick Shirley, the President of the United States, Stephen Miller, and J.D. Vance. Yeah, Somalia.
At the Miami International Airport, he was called in for further questioning, and then U.S. Customs and Border Protection says that he was found inadmissible due to vetting concerns. But the Somali embassy here in Nairobi tells us that he was vetted here in Nairobi by the U.S. Embassy and granted a 3-month multiple entry visa. He could travel between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, the 3 host nations. So they don't understand what happened here, and U.S. authorities are not saying anymore.
CNN would also note that Somalia is one of 39 nations affected by the Trump travel ban. This is where we introduce Andrew Giuliani, the son of Rudy Giuliani. You know what his role is? The head of the World Cup Task Force. You know who benefits from DEI, by the way? People like this.
So there's been one referee who has not been admitted. While I can't go into the details, what I can tell you high level is it was for very good reason. I support that decision. I was speaking directly with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Commissioner of CBP on Sunday. The days are blending together. A couple days ago on this, and it was for very good reason that ultimately this referee did not get in the country.
Now look, should you trust this man to give you the truth? No. Should you trust anyone in this administration to give it to you? The truth and nothing but the truth? No. Artan would tell the New York Times, I'm very, very disappointed. I'm just simply a referee who's trying to live his dream, the biggest dream of my life, to come to the World Cup. He would also go over how the immigration interview concluded after 11 hours. He was then taken to a separate holding cell, and they pretty much kicked him out. Artan would say, I think that they have a problem with my country, referring to Somalia. He said he had been preparing for the World Cup for years, taking courses with FIFA in Qatar and the UAE. Seeing this story and also how so many teams are being mistreated, we must conclude that the Trump admin's fascism is not at the doorstep. It is here. And we are seeing it being played out in real time through sport.
Can we just talk about how this might be the worst World Cup we have ever seen? Can we just talk about the States is an absolute mess. Now, I have seen so much of this happening. So Somali referee Omar Artan, who was set to be the first from his country to officiate the World Cup final, has been denied entry to the US.
Every day there seems to be another big World Cup controversy, and this one here was to deny history being made. So this is already the most expensive World Cup ever to go and actually watch a game. We've had players, managers, teams, everybody complain about the pitches not being up to standard. There's been shootings near countries' training bases, and on top of it all, you have the extreme heat. And now we've seen the biggest controversy so far, which in itself is a problem, because the fact that I'm saying so far means that I think we're going to get even bigger shit happen. Somali referee Omar Artan, who was set to be the first from his country to officiate at the World Cup finals, has been denied entry to the United States. Why is he being denied? What did he do? You know, why no other referees have been denied so far? Just him. Like, I don't understand what's going on with this World Cup, because I thought it was supposed to be one where it's accessible to everyone, and, you know, it's to unite the people. We all love football, and the World Cup is the biggest tournament in sport, in my opinion. And it seems that there's more focus on everything else other than the actual football and tournament. And there's no real excitement for this tournament. I feel that people are, they're looking forward to it, but it's not as big as in previous World Cups, or as big as people would have hoped for. And it's starting in a couple of days, but I feel like the hype is just not there. And it's because of things like this, high prices for pretty much everything, and the pitches not being good enough, not allowing officials into the country. Like, what are FIFA doing? What is the US doing? This is a tournament where you host the world. It's called the World Cup. And then you deny an official from another country. You know, the more I think about it, we need the football to save us. We need the games to be unbelievable, pretty much every game, because this World Cup is in danger of being remembered for everything but the actual games, but the actual football itself.
Africa's best male referee, Omar Artan, has been denied entry to the USA just days before the tournament kicks off. The 34-year-old was set to become the first Somali man to ever be a referee at a FIFA World Cup, but now has had that dream taken away from him. Last week, FIFA confirmed that his visa situation was sorted, and the Somali Ministry of Youth and Sports say that Artan travelled to the US with a valid visa but was turned away at the border. He was denied entry to the country when he arrived from Istanbul into Miami over vetting concerns following a routine inspection. Now in 2025, Gianni Infantino said, "It's important to clarify this. There is a lot of misconception out there. Everyone will be welcome in Canada, Mexico and the United States for the FIFA World Cup next year. But just days before the tournament, we've got situations like this arising and FIFA have got a problem on their hands in dealing with it." Now, the beauty of the World Cup, of course, is that the whole world comes together and shares a passion and a love for football. But with situations like this occurring and numerous others like it, slightly different but under the same breath, all of these situations are happening. It begs the question, who is this World Cup really for?
Artan, a Somali referee selected by FIFA to come officiate the World Cup in 2026 here in the United States. A dream that every referee worked their entire life for. Finally arrives at the airport in the United States and was told, "No, you can't come in because you're from Somalia." Denied entry, denied respect because you're from Somalia. This story hit deep to so many Somalis in the diasporas, and it's not a new story anymore. And this got me thinking, we don't have a country. We don't have a country that can represent us, even at the highest level of excellence. We don't have a country that can open doors of opportunity for us. What? You know, we're proud of being Somali, but we really do feel cringe when we say we're from Somalia. It's a weird feeling, only we understand, all right? It's like we're proud of being Somali. We just don't have a house to be proud of. Because what do you mean? Africa's best referee denied of opportunity by the mere fact that he's from Somalia. What? What's your thoughts on this? How do I process?
A lot of talk abroad about how the United States blocking the entry of referees from Africa, Iranian coaching staff, national team fans. What are the actual reasons for these measures, and is it a bureaucratic error?
Sure, we'll take these one by one. So there's been one referee who has not been admitted. And while I can't go into the details, what I can tell you high level is it was for very good reason. I support that decision. I was speaking directly with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Commissioner of CBP on Sunday. The days are blending together. A couple of days ago on this, and it was for very good reason that ultimately this referee did not get in the country. So only one referee, not more.
Good afternoon, Uganda. A Somali referee that was supposed to be refereeing for the FIFA games this weekend was denied entry
Football is supposed to unite the world, but what are fans supposed to think right now? We've seen reports of supporters facing travel problems, journalists facing entry concerns, officials being delayed, and now one of Africa's most respected referees, Omar Artan, has been denied entry and removed from the World Cup despite holding a valid visa. Fans are spending thousands on flights, hotels, transportation, and what many are calling the most expensive World Cup tickets ever, yet every day there seems to be another story creating uncertainty. Is this really the spirit of football? And what should FIFA be doing right now to protect the integrity of its biggest tournament?
This is becoming a serious conversation because perception matters just as much as reality at a World Cup. When supporters around the world wake up every morning and see headlines about travel complications, visa issues, officials being denied entry, or uncertainty surrounding participation, the Omar Artan situation is particularly painful because we're talking about a referee who earned his place through merit. He was selected by FIFA, recognised as one of Africa's best officials, and was set to make history for Somalia. Yet he will not be part of the tournament after being denied entry by US authorities. FIFA itself has acknowledged that it cannot control immigration decisions made by the host nation. The bigger issue is not one individual case. The World Cup is the largest sporting event on earth. Players, referees, journalists, staff and fans should arrive feeling welcomed and excited. FIFA cannot control border policy, but it can provide transparency, reassurance and stronger coordination with host nations. Right now, many supporters are asking a simple question. If football belongs to the world, how can the world's biggest football event leave so many people wondering whether they will be able to take part? That is the question FIFA must answer before the first ball is kicked.
Abdulkadir, Artan should be at the World Cup. And I don't know whatever reason you want to give to justify USA not allowing this guy to be at the World Cup. Africa's top referee finished as the best referee on the continent in the CAF Champions League in 2025. Arguably the best referee in Africa. And according to the Somali Ministry of whatever affairs, this guy traveled to the US with a valid visa, with valid documentation, but they sent him back. Why? Why? Politics should be politics. Football should be football. Is that not what we agreed upon? After all, when a player decides to involve him or herself in any political talk, he gets sanctioned, he gets condemned on social media. People tell him, face your football, leave politics. So why are they facing politics and leaving football? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Justify the reason why the US have sent this guy back. Valid visa, one of the best referees, if not the best referees in Africa, a huge prospect in the world of football. Why did you send him back? FIFA should have interfered. Host nation or no host nation, FIFA should have interfered. I'm very disappointed.
So the biggest World Cup in history kicks off on June the 11th, and before a single ball is kicked, this is how the host nation, the USA, is welcoming the world. Well, a Somali referee, Omar Artan, named Africa's best referee of 2025, flew in to officiate. The US denied him entry. FIFA confirmed he's out. Iraq striker Ayman Hussein held nearly 7 hours at Chicago, Ohio, phone searched before they let him in. Their team photographer was sent home. In Iran, 15 staff denied visas. The players cleared only to enter and leave on match day, so they're based in Mexico and crossing the border for every game. Senegal's players searched on the tarmac, shoes off, bags out. Uzbekistan are met by sniffer dogs. Their coach, World Cup winner Fabio Cannavaro, said the check was only for us. And Switzerland's Bril Embolo flew in late after his travel clearance was pulled, though that one's tied to an old court case. Even Scottish fans not on any ban list had their travel approvals cancelled days before flying. Thousands of pounds gone. The US says security and vetting. Critics say discrimination. FIFA says not our problem. Host countries decide. The same FIFA that stripped Indonesia of a tournament in 2023 over a political dispute. Russia hosted a World Cup, Qatar hosted a World Cup. They knew it was a global stage to win people over. Critics are saying this is the so-called free world fumbling the welcome. Controversial stuff. I'd like to get your take. Don't forget to like, share and follow for more important updates and stuff that affects you.
Then it is the eve of the World Cup and Africa's top referee has been denied entry into the US. FIFA have confirmed that Omar Artan will not officiate at the tournament. He would have been the first Somali referee in the competition's history. But he says he was questioned for 11 hours and despite having, quote, the right papers and the right visas, he was detained and put on a flight back to Istanbul. So Somalis are subject to the strictest level of Trump's travel ban, but the legislation includes an exemption for World Cup players and support staff. We're also hearing he was issued a diplomatic passport due to previous visa issues. So how this decision was reached is still unclear. However, the people at the top insist it was the right one. Omar Artan says, I think they have a problem with my country. And last year Donald Trump did make comments that he doesn't want Somali immigrants in the US. And it's not an isolated case. Here is a running total of all the visa issues that we've had at the World Cup so far. So these issues are affecting players, staff, fans, and now FIFA's own officials. I think it's worth reminding ourselves what Gianni Infantino said less than a year ago. He said, to clear up any misconception, everyone will be welcome in the US, Canada and Mexico. This is so indicative of late era Gianni, where he makes these big, sweeping promises about things that are essentially matters of government policy. He knows he has no control over Trump's border laws, but he says these things anyway. And FIFA member nations seem more than happy to go along with it, and many have already pledged their support for him to remain as president until the 2030s, including the head of the Somali FA. I wonder if he's changed his mind today.
The ongoing visa story is a massive controversy on the eve of this World Cup that also says a lot about where the tournament is and what it's becoming. I'm actually in New Jersey now, about 15 minutes from the MetLife Stadium, former Giant Stadium, where the final will be held. And I've done a bigger piece on this for The Independent that you can check out in a bigger video on YouTube. But just so as to wrap some of the themes of it here. I mean, because this story, it's... as I say, it's a massive controversy that is very telling about where this World Cup is. From within that as well, I think it can be a little bit too easy to forget that there's a very human story here that also kind of touches on what the World Cup is actually about. I mean, you've got a Somali referee denied his dream, as he put it to the New York Times. You've even got like the potential effect in the tournament of the Senegalese team, who are considered potential outsiders, you know, going through the humiliation of having a tarmac security scan or security check. Same happened to Uzbekistan. The Iranian team are going to have to play games without some of their staff, have to travel on the day of the games. And I mean, I suppose standing back from all this, as someone in football put to me, it's like the US under the Trump administration, the primary host of this tournament, see it as a World Cup only in name, not in practice. And they're going against the spirit of what the World Cup is supposed to be about, is this genuinely global party, but also some of the technical and legal issues. And that's where this is a really big story that says so much more. Because, I mean, look, it's worth stressing. Something like this, visa issues like this, where World Cup individuals have been blocked from entry, they've never happened for any previous World Cup. Two police states, Russia and Qatar, were much more welcoming, which is saying something. But that is because for every FIFA event, there are contractual provisions where guarantees have to be provided on entry, on visas. And in this case, FIFA evidently secure those guarantees. And they've used this line about how they don't have any influence on the processes of host nations. Well, they've gone against their own precedent there, because for the 2023 Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia, well, it was supposed to be in Indonesia, but Indonesia was stripped of the tournament because an Israeli under-17 team had previously been denied entry. At that point, they used a nebulous language of current circumstances. Here, they've been hard line. It's all the more remarkable given this stuff doesn't come from such cause and effect and kind of overriding laws as FIFA were trying to frame it. It comes from kind of long-term partnerships and relationships, and none are publicly as strong as Infantino's and Trump's. But what was the point of all that? Now, Infantino is going to have his typical pre-World Cup press conference on Wednesday, and it's going to be interesting to see how this is discussed. But it already says so much about this tournament.
Linda, many Somalis, many Africans see racism in what happened to Omar Abdulkadir Artan. He is an award-winning referee, maybe the best referee in Africa. The Confederation of African Football named him Male Referee of the Year 2025. That is the highest honor in his field. And yet when he showed up traveling on a diplomatic passport at the Miami International Airport, he was called in for further questioning, and then U.S. Customs and Border Protection says that he was found inadmissible due to vetting concerns. But the Somali embassy here in Nairobi tells us that he was vetted here in Nairobi by the U.S. Embassy and granted a 3-month multiple entry visa. That's he could travel between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, 3 host nations. So they don't understand what happened here, and U.S. authorities are not saying anymore. The Somali government said they tried to unsuccessfully negotiate with both FIFA, the world governing body for soccer, and with the US government to allow him to come in, and ultimately that didn't work out. Here's FIFA's explanation why he's getting dropped completely from the World Cup officiating, which should have been a crowning moment for his achievement after being a referee since 2018. FIFA says FIFA is not involved in host country immigration processes, including visa adjudications, and has been informed by authorities that Mr. Artan's status will not be changed at present. In line with previous FIFA events, a host government ultimately determines who receives a visa and who's admitted into their country, which is technically right. But FIFA also did promise Gianni Infantino last year that everybody would be welcome at these World Cup events in the US, Mexico, and Canada. But 75% of these games are in the US, and many Africans have already been complaining about getting denied visas, how expensive they are, etc. And now this on top of it, Linda.
Yeah, and of course, I'm wondering what other reaction you're seeing in the region and Somalia to this, and what can be done to appeal.
There doesn't seem to be much that can be done to appeal. It's a little late in the game, so he will be missing out on the World Cup. But in Somalia, people see this in context of what President Trump has said about Somalia. He's called Somalis garbage. He's suggested that they're criminals, that they are low IQ, and Somalia is part of the 39 nations under President Trump's sweeping travel ban, so that needs to be taken into that. But technically, the referee would have qualified for an exemption because he's participating in a sporting event. But the wider question for many Africans is that, does the U.S. really want African fans? Does the U.S. want any African participation if it's making it so hard for Africans to participate in this manner? They consider it humiliating. They consider it almost racist that the most significant hurdles are being faced by African fans, African teams, African participants coming to this World Cup, which is supposed to be a uniting force for the entire world, Linda.
Yeah, such a shame. Well, thank you so much for the update, Larry Midori.
Breaking news now, the US government says that the World Cup referee Omar Abdulkadir, who was denied entry into the US, was as a result of the US government finding out that Omar Abdulkadir has got some links, associated links with terror groups. Now again, the Department of Homeland Security are now wondering how Omar Abdulkadir was processed here in Kenya, Nairobi to be specific, and they never picked up that particular aspect of Omar Abdulkadir having alleged associated links with terror groups. Stay tuned.
Cup begins tomorrow, and a Somali man who was supposed to referee for the FIFA World Cup has now been denied entry into the United States. Now, FIFA, which is soccer's global governing body, confirmed that Omar Abdulkadir Artan will not be taking part in the tournament starting this month, tomorrow. A U.S. Customs and Border Protection spokesperson only said that he was deemed inadmissible due to vetting concerns after arriving in Miami following a flight from Turkey. Somalia is one of the 39 nations affected by the Trump administration's travel ban, and Artan said in a statement, in part, "Despite the circumstances, I am in a positive mood and I am focused on the next challenges in my refereeing career." Meanwhile, we know that he was named Africa's top male referee in 2025 and was chosen by the Confederation of African Football to take part in this year's
World Cup, and the travel bans happening all at the same time. I always wonder how this will play out, and we're seeing it right now. Omar Artan, a Somali, was denied entry into the United States. They stopped him right there in Miami and was like, "No, buddy, you will not be officiating any of these games, any other soccer games." He was one out of 52 referees that's supposed to have been officiating soccer games, but they denied entry, and he had to fly back to Istanbul. I think he was staying there before coming to the United States. So this is one incident out of many others to come, because there's over 30 African countries on these travel bans. I wonder how that will impact, athletes, staff, and so on, anybody that's affiliated with FIFA to come. But far as now, you have Omar Artan, the Somali dude, that will not be officiating any of the games in the United States, FIFA games in the United States. It was like, nah, buddy. I wonder if Somalia keeps up with the headlines in America that with all the Medicaid fraud. I wonder if they keep up with the headlines. But yeah, that's not adding on to your case to, for you to enter the United States too. So yeah.
So from the look of things, it looks like the world is actually on the side of the Somali referee that was denied entry before making history. Anyway, just by me mentioning that, you already know what we are going to talk about, because this was a dream to Mr. Omar. This was an historic moment to him. Imagine given this platform, a world stage, not just a national stage, but a world stage. But then there is this decision that was made at the airport in Miami that changed everything. And I can tell you, as we're speaking, the world is also speaking and trying to make sense out of this particular situation. I mean, guys, imagine a Somali referee that has been preparing for this particular history, and then he gets to be denied entry into the United States of America. So, of course, that will make people really mad. They'll be outraged. They'll be raged about all this situation, because honestly, there are so many questions that are going to be asked, and I don't know who is going to answer it. Of course, it's supposed to be from the government and administration of Donald Trump, but I don't know if they are going to really talk about this. How did this happen even in the first place? Why did it happen? What does it mean for the future of sports in the near future anyway? So I can confidently tell you that this is not about one referee. This particular story has become even bigger than the football, than the FIFA itself. If you may notice, so many people have come out to speak, but I'll just use some few clips so that at least you can have something to say in our video. This particular thing, it has brought out a lot of conversation and debate, more so about fairness, about security, and whether sports can truly bring the world together. Because remember, sports was meant to bring people together, but at this point, people are asking, is it really bringing people together or bringing more division? That's the question. I don't know what to think about that. Maybe you can comment down below and let us know what's your opinion on this. So this particular young man, Mr. Omar, he had already achieved something very special. Imagine he was on his way to become the first Somali referee at the World Cup. FIFA, guys, World Cup. Not these local games, but World Cup. I mean, guys, just think about that as if it was you. What will you have done now? So he comes from Somalia, a country that has faced many challenges, and he was about to see one of its own. This particular country, Somalia, was about to see one of its own from Somalia stand on the biggest stage in the world, not just any other stage, but the football stage. So for many Somalians in this case, they were very proud. They so open that they actually, this was a moment of representation. But instead of preparing for this particular match, he was sent back home. He had already actually prepared. It's only that he was going to start with some few preparations here, since he was traveling there and he had to make everything to be in line so that by the time he starts, everything is okay. But then he was sent back home. He didn't even step his foot into one of the one of the stadiums there. This news, I can tell you, it has spread like wildfire. You see the fire that normally happens in the bush, especially these wild ones? Yeah. The news about the denial of visa, entry visa of referee Omar spread like wildfire. And of course, the world reacted. And of course, people have talked, over 100 of them. So, to football fans, they are really shocked about this particular situation. Football normally brings so much joy, so much, togetherness, unity, to the point that people across the world, they actually do some things together since they have been united by this particular club, football club, or you see, things like that. So they are shocked and they are asking genuine questions like, how can someone that has been selected for the World Cup be stopped? How? How is it that someone with official documentation is still being denied entry? I mean, who is going to answer those questions, guys? Who? Because personally, I also need to understand, like, it's unbelievable. You have valid documentation. Anyway, let's wait and see if at least we will get a reasonable answer and explanation from the administration of His Excellency Honorable Donald R. Trump. So many people are now focusing on the human side of the story when it comes to this particular referee and the situation. To many people, they see a referee, not a politician at this point, not a government official, not someone that is looking for attention, just a person who has worked for so many years to reach his dreams. Because, of course, all along, he has been doing that so that at least one day, one time, he can get a chance to referee in World Cup. The time had come, but it's sad. You see, this particular guy is actually representing millions and millions of people across the world. He's actually giving them hope that it does not matter where you come from. Across the entire country of Somalia, I could clearly see emotional reaction. In fact, they went to the airport to receive him like a hero because they actually know the impact. Many of them see him as a symbol and a symbol of Somali talent, and not just Somali talent, African talent. I mean, developing countries' talent, and a symbol that athletes in Somalia can actually reach the highest level in whichever sport that they want to. It only takes courage and training, being optimistic, consistency, So the world is actually saying one thing, that instead of this particular story being a story of celebration, instead of this story turning into a story of a proud moment, it has in turn created a very different conversation. And they're saying that across the entire world, across the countries, people, you have the right to control your borders. We don't disagree with that. But again, how come that visa approval does not always guarantee the entry? Because you see, we all believe and we support that security checks are very important, and every country makes decisions based on its own rules. We don't disagree with that. So It leaves us at a very complicated point and level because two things can exist at the same time. A country could probably have security concerns, and the people can still question the impact of that decision. And the biggest question that many people are asking is if, or yeah, if there should, not really if there should, but in this case whereby major international sporting events so you see many people are actually asking very emotional questions, very emotional questions. Like for them, they want to understand one thing, or rather, they are just asking for something that is very simple in case should there be a major international sporting event. You see, these countries that have been given the opportunity to host those matches, they should create a special consideration for athletes and officials who are participating or officiating in this case. You see, the World Cup is not like a tournament. It's a sport that is watched by millions, if not billions. And this particular World Cup, it represents nations, not clubs. It represents cultures. It represents people. So, guys, as you all know, football has always sold itself as a bridge, is a way to bring different countries together. Because if you see the clubs and the people that play for these clubs, they do come from different worlds, different countries of the world. So by World Cup in itself being there, it's a way of also bringing countries together, cultures together, a place where a player from one part of the world connects with fans and players from, another part of the world, which is beautiful. So as you can see, the story of Omar, referee Omar, the Somali referee, is very emotional to so many people, even to Americans themselves. You have heard them speaking in our videos that we just attached here. This was meant to be bigger, by him being there, but now the scene has changed. Imagine a Somali referee walking into the pitch. Millions of people are watching. The Somalia in itself is celebrating, and the people across the world. I mean, it could have been an historic moment, and that image in itself was something that would have given up to so many people. So the story of Somali referee, it has also changed, how people try to think and imagine about how unpredictable things are. These stories to do with immigration, international traveling, and now we're getting to learn how decisions at the borders can actually affect not only people from outside but also from within you. Because up to now, there are, I think the clip is even here attached, that across America, ICE has been able to detain some people just in that face of, traveling from one town to the other, or city or state in this case. So this story feels so personal because, it involved a dream, and then suddenly this dream has faced an obstacle. So many of the people across the world are really hungry because, according to them, they believe that the ref deserved a chance to do what he work. I mean, to just go work. Oh my God, if you would have been the one, what would you have done in this case? You know? But again, you'll see like MAGA supporters saying that, the administration already has some information about these people. And so, by him being denied, yeah, they already know. So it's all about rules. Anyway, guys, if you will comment and let us know what you really think about this story, we will really appreciate. Because for many people across the world, they are seeing someone like this particular ref, for many people like across the world, they feel like if this person was given a chance, then he would have reached a level that nobody would have ever imagined. And it also showed like, there is no limit to anything, and that a talent can actually come from anywhere, not just from a certain place. So, I don't know if this will change how international sporting events are going to handle traveling issues for their officials and staff. Yeah, because I know they're going to talk about that in the next meeting. I know, because at this point they don't really want their officials or even the athletes to be in such a situation that Ref Omar has already been into. So I know they are going to come up with the rules on how to protect their officials and athletes in the near future. Anyway, a sporting event normally takes so much years to prepare, to organize. The players train again for so many years. They sacrifice, they dream about it. And then you imagine them being in that situation of preparation, and then they come to something like this that has happened to this Somali ref. So in every story that we talk, of course, there is always a lesson, and that if you talk about this story of Ref Omar, it reminds us about the power of representation, because for some people, seeing someone from their country succeed means everything. As I had said earlier, it creates hope, inspiration, and belief. So most of the time, these sporting activities, they are built on moments: a last-minute goal, a player lifting a trophy, a ref making an historic appearance, like what it would have happened. So these are the moments that truly stays forever. And this, you see, the story about Ref Omar from Somali. It's one of those that was supposed to be one of those moments. What do you think? Was this a security decision? Was it a historic sporting moment taken away? Because, guys, I don't know, it's a mixed reaction. I would really love it to hear from you what you think about this. But again, we know that one thing that is clear is that the story of the Somali referee in itself, it has already made history. It's being talked about worldwide now in a way that nobody expected. Now, millions, if not billions, already know about what has happened. We already know about his journey. We already know about the Somali talent that we didn't know, by the way. Maybe if you could have been allowed, we wouldn't have known. In fact, me, I didn't even know about the refs and these people, but now I know more about it. So, one message that I can tell you is that sometimes someone's journey becomes bigger than the event by itself. Like in this case, we had a referee who was supposed to quietly officiate a match, but he has ended up starting a worldwide conversation. I don't know what you think about this. Do you think it was the right decision by the administration in America? Or should the ref have been allowed to make history? I will appreciate your presence if you go to the comment section and, let us know what you think. Thank you so much if you watched the clip up to this point. I do appreciate your presence, by the way. I don't take it for granted. I'll see you in the next video.